watching Fish on Friday. I'm Lucian Leone, and my guests today for this segment of Fish on Friday are Pete and Ellen Campbell. And the Campbells, in addition to being good friends, are the owners of Campbell Press Repair, which is a local company here in the Lansing area. Next topic I would love to get into talk to you more about is the skilled trades. I mean, we kind of touched on it when we were talking about the conference, but that's really been an area that you two have focused on very specifically over the last number of years, and really trying to promote a resurgence of skilled trade education, especially in our school system, more of a promotion of the skilled trades as a very viable career path. And I would just love to kind of get your perspective on where did that come from? I mean, because on a certain way you can say, I just needed more workers. And so therefore I want to see more people that are doing the kind of things that I want to hire. But it's clear to me you have a much broader perspective than that and why you think this is so important. So could you just maybe talk about why you think the skilled trades are such an important and integral part of creating a healthy economic, political, cultural system today in this country?
Yeah, it's and the more you dig into it, the more you learn. I'd say going back to I've always enjoyed being in the skilled trades industry. Always enjoyed woodworking, doing stuff with my hands, making stuff. That's always just been something I like. But to bring it to the forefront to me was again a crisis, a problem. Having a couple good workers leave the shop for someplace else made me look and say, okay, what am I doing here? What am I doing wrong? What am I offering? And that made me say, okay, I got a lot of skilled trades here. This is really valuable. These guys aren't just a dime a dozen out there. Not back when I started. Yeah, there was more workers and people out there than there were jobs. Now it's flipped, and so what am I doing to help build that area that's a critical part of my company, and what can I do to help that? So we started looking into schools, looking into programs. That's about the time Ellen came on, hey, I've been working with these places for about 5 years and not getting very far. We got to go deeper in. We can't just do a shallow and hope to skim the cream off the top. We got to really dig in and learn about this and be able to offer something up. And so she did a deep dive in it, and just fascinating what you learn. It's not just a hobby or something that's fun to do. It really helps you learn. You just like if you're trying to study something, you read it is one level, or you listen to it. The next level is take notes. The next level is rewrite your notes. The next level is to read through it again, and then the best level is to try to teach it to somebody. So you go through all those levels, and now you've on a good solid start to learning it, and so same thing with this. Building something with your hands works a different part of your mind, and it really fires the brain in a certain way, and so it gives you a different perspective on things, and helps your mind think and solve problems, and so it's really something good, just like being exposed to the arts, just like learning an instrument or trying to paint or draw. If you try to go through education without those things, you may be really good at something, but you don't have a very broad perspective to draw from. So talk about diversity, that's diversity of the mind, diversity of your education makes you a stronger, better individual. So it's really quite eye-opening, and you see the value of it Whether you go into that particular skill or not, it still makes a well-rounded person. So it's just been an area that's fascinated us, and yeah, Ellen's learned a ton about it.
It's worth learning about too. I think what we've found is, the first thing is like, how do you open those doors? What does it mean to go deeper into your school system? It again comes down to relationships. You have to slow down. You have to talk to people. You have to find out what they do. So it became it's kind of a weird, it might be a bizarre word to use, but kind of a courting process.
Mm-hmm.
We would court who are we going to talk to? We're going to talk to instructors. Come see our shop. Can we take you out for barbecue? We did a lot of barbecue. Take you out for barbecue. This is what we do. This is who we are. And then we flip. Can we come and visit your classrooms? Can we can we see what's going on? They love telling us what they're doing. And they also appreciate being able to tell taxpayers what's happening in the school systems that, are working and what aren't working. Then it becomes then that dance is like, sort of like, well, that's great. So now we know each other and so forth. And the first thing we say is, we'd love to be able to invest into your students. And the next thing they're saying is, we'd love to share, we want our best students. Now that we know what you're doing, it's not that you need a lot of people, you need certain types of talents. So once we get into that, then it becomes a service thing. Now you have to get in and be a part of their advisory board. Now already, you'd have business owners like with their eyes rolling back in their head going, I don't have time, nobody's got time for that. You don't have time not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it comes down to that human element. When we did more research so that we could, get a better handle on how big of an animal this was, it's enormous. It's enormously bad. And it started really in the 80s with when we decided we won't produce things. We'll be the white glove, white collar country, and we'll send the dirty work over to other people, and we'll just be designers. We'll be innovators. But, the greatest innovators were hands-on folks. What? Ford, Edison. Your greatest, who's the one thing is like, opportunity looks like overalls and something like that.
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, right? Yeah. But what did we find out that it killed our education is when those classes were when they were basically outmoded because we put computer, things in. And so now we've got computer centers. What happens is God gives us charisms. So instead of saying there's lots of these charisms and there's always going to be a need for these particular types of expressions of them in skilled trades, making things out of raw materials. That's what industrial art is. Well, we just decided we just don't live like that anymore. We can order that. We can find that. Somebody else can make it. Well, we gave away, first of all, our country's ability to support itself.
Mm-hmm.
We gave away our ability to sell to other countries, things that we can make and we can exchange and have that, a great trade system. We gave away our identity. We gave away a lot of our families, things that were integral to families, creating families, family businesses. We gave away a ton of entrepreneurship. So many of the businesses that we think are just big, global, dominating are all held together by hundreds of thousands of small mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
That's what makes our country do what it does. We're a place of 30 people. We support a huge ecosystem of forging because we repair forging machines all across the country and in other countries as well. And there's many of us like us out there doing. We have companies that come in and fix our machines. We don't always we maintain ours, but if we need something else, we need an expert to come in. The ecosystem's phenomenal, but we've given that up in this thing of like, well, there's just one big giant thing that does that, and another big giant. No, that's not really. That's not how the human body works.
Right.
That's not how a society would work. And the biggest thing that it's done to our education is when we pulled those classes out. I went to Catholic school. We didn't have the skilled trades or the industrial arts classes, unfortunately, art class, sort of. But your public schools did, and that goes really well, almost founding back to, you want to talk about history, the whole apprenticeship thing, which is still, it's not been invented recently. Apprenticeship is how skilled trades were handed over and taught, well, absolutely from the beginning of our country and to almost like the dawn of time,
Right.
Someone who learns something shows, the next person how to do it. Well, when we got into, if people are from around the area and they think about Michigan State's land-grant universities, in 1855, that's engineering schools were being needed industrial arts classes. How would you prove a theory? You prove it out with your hands. You prove it out with something that you do actually. So applied math, applied science. When we talk about the crisis of men, which I'm sure a lot of people know about, crisis of young men in education, and we're giving them a lot of pills when we should be giving them a hammer and a measuring tape and nails and build a birdhouse. Because the thing is our executive functions that do with coping, focus, productivity, memory, all kinds of things that we take for granted, those are actually formed by what the human body and the brain do. You're learning, you're thinking with your hands. Many things that people get flummoxed about because our kids have lost their ability. The skills, when they're applied, your fractions make sense when you can use a measuring tape. And these kids don't know how to push a broom or read a measuring tape. Like, they don't know basic fundamental things of how to care for something, how to maintain something, how to repair something. It's just, what are they doing? Call Amazon, buy it new. Mm-hmm. We've lost it. So it has done enormous evil to our society. Yeah. So the more we looked at it first, simply like, we need some really great people for our own team, the further you get into it, we felt a calling of knowing, like, wow, we need to talk to our friends and neighbors about this. We need to bring this to our local government. We need to be, talking to educators about how can we support it. So maybe we can talk more directly about some of the programs we do support.
Well, Greg Engel at Lansing Catholic, with support of Dominic, president over there, started up from scratch an industrial arts program, and doing a phenomenal job. And Greg was, I believe, a civil engineer, and left that profession to go teach industrial arts, and doing great things over there.
What is it, about a fourth of the school at any time is taking the industrial arts course?
Yeah, has one of the classes.
Which is like 100 kids at any time,
right.
At a Catholic school, right? So this has opened things up to, you could study now for somebody who doesn't maybe want to go the university route. They still have to have an education. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest misnomer that parents get. It's like, well, I want them to get education. I don't want to go into trades. It's an education. Like, you're going to be educated. So that's the biggest thing. But also, now these are the people that are probably going to be, how many times do we talk to our young people, are you going to own your own business someday? We always talk, well, what do you want to be? Well, first I'd like to be an influencer, some sort of athletic star.
Right.
But reality, do they get told or asked, would you like to own your own business? Mm-hmm. Would you like to, and well, that's, so a business class on math, applied math towards your business would be really, really helpful for some of those juniors and seniors who want to figure out, like, okay, well, what courses would I take at the next level of education that I would need? And we were saying, so we came to Dominic Iocco and Greg Engel and Don Anderson over there, who's a fantastic counselor over there, saying, can we let you know from the business side, we need these students to think about entrepreneurship, skilled trades businesses, and seriously to take advantage of what is out there but isn't even beginning to be tapped.
Yeah.
So a lot of money right now is going to it from the government, but Lucian, it just dies. It just dies in programs that don't have feeder systems. So they'll give lots of money to these Lansing Community College. Great example of that. But there's no feeder to it. So they've got all these high-end, beautiful building, incredible faculty, great product, all kinds of materials that they need, and the machines they need to do it, and an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many times our apprentices who want to keep going on with their welding or machining and so forth, and we're like, how come you're not taking the class? Didn't you sign up for it? I did. They didn't have enough people, so they dropped it. Not more than twice. Mm-hmm. More than half a dozen times we've heard that. And it's so discouraging.
Yeah.
So where are we supposed to get for that level of instruction?
Yep.
And we're counting on that. But they're not doing what they need to do to have a feeder program. It starts in middle school
is
industrial
really
arts. That's how they get them.
Especially for young men, and it's a big concern for young men. Mm-hmm. And so young boys start to drift away from school and interest in school about middle school, and that's about the right age to give them the responsibility to play with some power tools with the proper education and safety. But they can do a lot that can re-engage them, and that gets them exposed to it and thinking about it. And boy, we've talked to some of the young men over at Wilson Center, and just hated school, just trudging through until they came over there, and now they are super motivated, great students, turning stuff in early, and the professors just talking, about these guys, and you talk to them, he's like, oh yeah, man, no, I love this. I can't wait to get over here. So, different people have different gifts from God, and so it's good to see that growing back. We've seen some great startups. Harmel Academy in Grand Rapids is doing great things, combining God, theology, and skilled trades.
Yeah.
With just young men living together and
fellowship,
and
camaraderie.
Fellowship.
They're forming a cohesive group of, like it's like being not like a fraternity really,
Right.
but it's not to become. It's not where they're discerning priesthood. This is just to be in a fellowship of like-minded young men who are pursuing a godly route and through the trades.
Yep. And then their academics, they're teaching them to think.
Yeah.
They're not giving them fluffy stuff. So they're learning, to have discourse, to talk, to think, to argue, to hit heady topics and really dig in. So it's a good classical type education,
It is.
with your skilled trade and working. They keep them busy. They have a lot of fun over there, but they're busy. And boy, when they get out, hey, that's a valuable guy to hire. Same thing with St. Joseph, the Worker in Steubenville. Just an impressive startup. Again, theology, skilled trades, humanities, and history, and the classics, and really interesting people. But I found when I'm looking for people out there, it's one thing to try to find somebody with skill, but the other half is even harder, is to find that character. And I'll take character over skill any day, because you can teach skill to a person with good character. And so that is the component that they're teaching: humility, service to others, trust in the Lord. And that's, boy, you couldn't ask for anything better for a young man you're looking to hire.
But they're not cutting corners, and this is something that should. There's the underbelly of it. We say, oh well, great. So you have, say, for instance, a young man. Let's just the typical young man who's, he's not finding nothing in school is doing it for him. He never got any kind of industrial art classes in middle school, so he's just been sort of floating around like a hot potato, passed off from grade to grade. Maybe he can read, maybe he can't read very well. Well, there is this unfortunate movement that we found too. Is the good things you find about, oh, this is great, this is really going to, we can, if we support that. But the underbelly of it, when you peel it back and learn more, is our CTE programs at the high school level. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them, and we had direct experience with it, are using the CTE programs as a way to hustle the kids out of the school where they're having disciplinary problems, throw them into a CTE program, and shut the door.
Yeah.
So there's yours. We're going to have ours are going to graduate from here. We have no problem. And because these kids had no pathway to high school, all the other kids who wanted to go to college-bound type things, they had plenty of pathways for that. But for the poor schlump who just like, I wanted to try something, I want to do something with my hands, nobody can get behind them. Nobody knows what it is. I can't tell you how many, they're like, well, why'd you get into machining? The other class was full. It's like, what? That's not a pathway.
Yeah.
And our counselors are woefully undereducated themselves about how to counsel students towards this. So we have to be very careful that these CTE programs, with all the money that they get from the government, aren't being used as a way to just hustle the kids out another door where, because two things are bad. One is the kids know they're failing if they're failing. They know if they don't. Someone knows if they know something or they don't know it, right?
Right.
I mean, so they've been given too many of these IEPs, I think they're called education, what are they called? You know this.
Yeah,
They're like-
intervention education plan.
Right.
So anyway,
Right, so they give them those. So basically, you know, well, this person has a problem reading. Well, they never learned how to read. Teach them how to read. Well, instead of that, it's like, we're going to verbally give you the test. Out of a class of 30 students, last time I checked, and I don't want to name the school because that's not really fair, but out of a local school, has a CTE program, 27 of the students had IEP plans. 3 of them didn't. 3 of them came from Fowlerville, and they all worked on farms.
right.
And they were already they're already like taking their tractors apart, putting them together again, and like, you know, getting out there and do the business. And they were their leaders in their class. The problem is teachers that we have been in partnership with are saying, it's gone from bad to worse. My hands are held. They can't, kids can be as late or tardy or missing as many times as they want to. Teacher told us he had kids that were late 50 times to class, missing 30 times to class, and they still had to pass them. I mean, so, and you talk to their school superintendent about it, which we did, and we said, like, this is your reality. Like, do you know this is what's happening? We serve on your advisory board. Do you know what is happening? Do you know what's happening to curriculum right
So
now?
it sounds like basically skilled trades are being used as a place to dump the kids that are not doing well
Yeah.
in the traditional classroom,
Sure.
as opposed to this is a viable
Correct.
career pathway
Yeah.
that you should really consider. It's just like if the kid, let's just put him in CTE because it's easy.
Well, what's weird about that too is on the federal level, it's almost like, well, you've been in policy your whole career for, you know, education, how things work. Everybody's at their best in their policy about like, this would be great. So you get these dollars that come from Perkins, the dollars that come from the government that go to your state, and the state will dole it out, and it's great. Except the state's clueless. And I can't even say that. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. The governors and our leaders in the state have not been helping the citizenry with getting it right.
Yeah.
Because when they don't put a feeder program in, you can't, especially now with AI, especially with all this the kids on the screens all the time. These are kids who don't have any kind of interface with any experience with taking stuff apart and putting it together at home with dad or granddad or mom. And trust me when you hear this, women say, we need more opportunities. Oh, please, we've had our clients say, I don't care, man or woman, it doesn't matter. I don't care what your color is, I don't care what your anything is, we need workers. There's no barring the door. There is no glass ceiling that you have to worry about that you can't be breaking. We need you. It's just that people aren't getting enough experience, enough exposure to it, and the right exposure. So it isn't watching television about it. That's what they want to do. The next thing is,
Right.
we don't want you to get hurt, so we're going to watch a video about this and you can play with Play-Doh. And we're
Yeah.
like, strike an arc, man. Come over to our shop and we'll show you
Yeah.
the safety procedures. And by the time you leave, you're going to leave with you've been there,
Yeah.
a hunk of steel, and you can tell what you did to get that hunk. But you were going to talk about the drill press that you used and the deburring that you used and the bolts that you put in there. And of course, the welding that you did, tack welding that you did. And you did something.
Yeah.
These kids walk out and they're like, yeah.
Yep.
So we've been investing even before the programs that we're investing in by financial supporting. They're not into metalwork yet, but we're like, well, we're going to start where you are because someday you will be, and we want to help get you there because metalwork is so integral to everything we have in our society. So, but we have to be really careful. It's not like a one fit. It's a one fit all solution. However, the industrial arts is a one fit all, meaning it doesn't mean that's where it's going to split you. If you take an industrial arts class at 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and you loved it even, you still go off and you could go off and do anything. But what it does do is it helps fortify that child's ability to learn.
Yeah.
We haven't veered off yet. We haven't taken our paths yet. We're just giving them more foundational, essential experiences in their education so that they can, reach. And now you're looking at any kids who's exposed to it, even a class in 6th grade, their chances of graduating high school now have gone up to 98%.
Yeah.
No, what else can do that? No pill, no drug, no therapy, no squishy toy, no distractions, no videos, can claim that because they don't. So we as you can see, we get all like excited about this, but everybody should be.
Yeah.
Everybody, you have an elementary school kid, you should be fighting for your district to bring back industrial arts so that your kid has a better chance to stay off any kind of meds for educational needs and to really be a well-rounded person and to really make a good pathway for you. And you can always jump the path. But if you don't get on a path, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're really out of luck. And that's what we've done to our children.
Yep.
And so what are we seeing by the end result? Skilled trades, a labor force that is really, we're in crisis. And we'll still be in crisis.
Very practically, if I'm a mom or dad out there and I've got a middle school age kid, one of the things I think you're suggesting is get them into the craftsmanship program over at Lansing Catholic.
Sure.
Would that be something to consider?
Absolutely. And if you can't do that, or you're in a different area, I'm going to be really generally speaking, because we do, I do mock interviews over at a local CTE high school, and so I hear from where the kids are. If you're in a farming community, you're probably acquainted with some of the stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids out of there are not only just farm equipment, but they're like motocross. They love to tinker with cars. They like to fix stuff, like to build stuff, build engines. You're going to see some of that. What you're going to want to do are the kids that wouldn't naturally have that kind of exposure through a family or community kind of setting. You go to Sam Buford and take some woodworking classes. But it's industrial arts. It's not painting or anything on the computer.
Yeah.
It's all that. Now robotics is different. We'll say there's a lot of robotics. It's not robotics.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking raw materials, wood, metal, etc., and taking those raw materials and doing something with them.
Yep.
With tools. So it's robotics is a different story, and it's great, and we've seen some good programs that are coming out of that. That's nice. That's not what we're talking about, though.
Right.
But a lot of it, I think, and I'm not sure with the industrial arts if they still have the craftsman program, but dads, neighborhood kids, garage, basement.
So
Start
do it
something.
yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
get some
like-
Start
friends
something.
together and
Yep.
make things with your
Make some
your
birdhouses.
kids. Is
Absolutely.
just
You know what's got a great
Yeah.
program we just saw? Actually, one of the first Home Depot.
yeah.
Home
Oh,
Depot has, I think it's like once a month or a couple times a month, and you come on over, and it's for the elementary school kids, and they get the Home Depot, the aprons
Saturday
for them.
morning and-
Saturday morning, moms and dads, kids, boys and girls are going over there, and they're making this. So that's a really great thing. Of course, Home Depot, they're not stupid. They're like, yeah, this is what we need. So take advantage of things that, whether it's a corporate thing, and you can go, enjoy that. And I see that moms and dads got a cup of coffee, they're sitting with the kid, and the kid's doing their thing. So look at your local, your local community centers that have that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, but it's industrial arts. It's working with metal and wood, and it's necessary. And don't do it for your kids. Don't build them the birdhouse.
Right.
Get your hands off of it. Don't even touch it.
Yep.
That's Greg's number one thing. I don't touch their work. I don't swoop in to make it perfect. I don't do anything to solve the problem. I ask them questions. They answer me questions, and we verbally work it out so they can grab that thing and figure it out. And it isn't that it looks beautiful at the end. It's that they did it.
Yes, they learned how to do something
Sure.
with their hands.
Well, you love
yeah.
to woodwork.
I
mean,
do,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's very
I'm not
satisfying.
good at it, but it's incredibly satisfying.
And the more you do, well,
The better you
conceivably-
get.
Conceivably, the better you're going to get.
Yeah.
And the older kids, again, Harmel and College of St. Joseph the Worker. I know College of St. Joseph the Worker has summer classes like timber framing and things like that. So this past summer, they had a good group of high school kids come down for maybe a 3-week timber framing class
Yep.
right there, which is really neat. And they're expanding their campus. They bought the old Masonic temple in Steubenville and turning that into one of their own buildings. So they
Renewing it.
got that and renewing that town. So and like Ellen mentioned, what's the school, the woodworking? Oh,
Sam
there's
Buford.
Sam Buford has, week-long classes.
Tillers?
That's down in Adrian, Michigan.
Adrian
Yep.
Mission.
And then Tillers
You can go and
International?
make a chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can go and make a table in a week.
Musical instruments.
Yep.
make a
Tillers
guitar.
International is south of Battle Creek. I took a blacksmithing class there with
Yeah.
my son. They've got woodworking, blacksmith, and various farm things. But again, there's things, activities with others that you're learning things, and that's great,
Well, and
great
that's-
stuff.
And on that is, don't be afraid of your kids working with tools and things, it's electrical, it's sharp. No, make sure that they learn how to do it safely.
Yeah.
They're going to grow into adults that need to know how to fix things, manage their lives, run a home, run a business. This is something you do not want to put off. You just want it to be done intelligently, safely. And I'll tell you, these kids follow directions. I
Yep.
don't care what their other background is, or if they're a real cut up in class and they're a troublemaker. You get them in some of this and they get it. But it has to be something that they can respect, that it needs to be respected. So we're very much for get those kids in there, and if it's a foreign concept to parents, give it a shot, and because honestly, especially when you're like, oh, my kid loves Legos, my boy loves Legos, and what do your kid want? Well, I want to be a Lego engineer. Okay, how many people are Lego engineers, Lucian? Seriously, but they can learn how to build,
Yeah.
and that's where they take it to the next level. So it's exciting. We could
Yeah.
go on and on, of course.
Well, Pete and Ellen, it has been wonderful having this chance to have this conversation with you guys. It's been great. Lots more we can talk about, but that'll be for future conversations. So you've been listening to Fish on Friday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.